All right, so we've got another episode of Earnest Medicine. This is on the heels, 24 hours, actually, after having Darren Soma in yesterday. So we're pumping these out left and right. We've got Dr. Louis Ziegler in the house today.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And we're going to get started. I think during our initial conversation, when Carlos and I were speaking, there was so much good overlap that I'm very excited for the two of you to get into this and really have this discussion.
Well, thank you again. I'm always honored to, be part of this. I'm always excited to get kind of holistic health medicine out to the public. And I feel quite fortunate to kind of get on the show and to kind of talk about it with you guys.
Happy to have you.
Absolutely. So whenever it comes to some of your origin, and I know this is Ernest's intro question all the time, but we always want to know sort of what was the motivating factor? What were some of the pieces in your history that sort of spearheaded you to channel your energies into this route?
Great. I told you earlier, John, it's my mother. It really all starts with my mom. So my mom had these books in our kitchen by a woman called Adele Davis. Adele Davis was this nutritionist. Right? So she had these Eat Fit and Live Long books, and they were all through our kitchen as a kid. So my mom would, always read these books. And my mom's that kind of hippie woman who really was, giving us granola, reading these Adele Davis books. And Adele Davis really thought you could cure mental illness with nutrition. So she is very,
ahead of her time.
Very ahead of her time.
Yeah.
So Adele Davis and my mom just moved to that. And as we got older, everything my mom would do was, making things healthy, not about food tasting good, which didn't always taste good in our house. I mean, so codfish liver oil on everything, wheat germ, constantly doing this to me and my brother. And it wasn't because we're sick. We did this because my parents wanted to make us strong and smart. And books constantly of nutrition. And that's how this thing starts. And then I get into science. I love science. So Linus Pauling, vitamin C, he wasn't the father of vitamin C, but he really just starts this whole kind of movement. And so I've been kind of into it ever since. And I've just continued to kind of learn and grow and trying to make sure this kind of holistic medicine and nutrition continue to become a spearhead of healthcare.
Where did you grow up? Where are you from?
New Jersey. I'm actually from a small town, Red Bank, New Jersey, Middletown.
Oh, nice.
Do you go back?
I go back every once in a while. Thank you for asking. My aunt's there, and I have a brother here now. But the food, it's interesting. I think everything about culture and growing up in an Italian-German family is about good food.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, and I always echo, and I think I don't want to devalue food at any level. I think people have to understand that food is medicine.
Oh, yes.
Right? I mean, food is medicine. What we put into our bodies, how we fuel ourselves is so crucial. And like I said earlier, my father get us strong. We weren't sick. We wanted to be stronger than the kids next door. Right? We wanted to be smarter. My father was that guy. You'll be smarter. You'll be stronger. I got into kind of these peptides as a little kid, protein building. Look, junior high school kids trying to figure out this guy, Dirk Pearson and Sandy Shaw, biochemists. They had a book called Life Extension.
I see. I don't know. I've heard of it. Yes.
It's old school stuff.
Yes. This is going back in time.
These are going back. I mean, he was doing these Superman poses, just looking at all those things. My memory of I am going to get bigger and stronger than the next kid around.
Yeah.
So this is in your DNA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you breathe it.
Oh, yeah. Every day.
Yeah.
I read it. I love it. I want to people. And now my primary focus is to make sure other people are healthy and that they, and opportunities like this, to understand that food is medicine and helping that get that message out to the public is really a part of what I do.
That's challenging because there's so much out there. And there are so many different formats. And in large part, that's why we're trying to do these things, is to gather the stories and then follow on a journey so that people can have an understanding. It's not just, they're not just consumers. We're involving them in an experience. And that's an important point because we're both physicians, right? And we have our perspectives, and we're independent physicians. So there's unique qualities that we share. And I think it's very important, for anybody who's viewing or anybody who really wants to go on this journey to understand that it's those experiences that are foundational for us that change everything for us. And that's infectious.
Very much
and so. It's very much, to the line of what medicine is and not healthcare.
Right.
So, but it all starts with education. Tell me, what was it like going, from, where you were in New Jersey and then seeking out to advance yourself educationally, and where you saw things and what you had to do for yourself?
Sure. So I think the same thing. So I go to school in Connecticut. I started Connecticut. It's very conservative. University of Connecticut is very conservative. Old schools, it's fundamental. Conservative. As I get myself further and I go continue education, I start again. I still always believe what I put on my body is very important.
Yeah.
Right? They don't teach you those things in school.
Nope. How many hours do you think you had on nutrition in medical school? I remember.
Gears are turning.
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of go into one.
Yeah, we had
So
four.
am I thinking that hard? Maybe.
Yeah, because one of the things is we are taught that consult a nutritionist. Right. So you are basically punting all of your knowledge to somebody else, and you're missing so much of what's fundamental about nutrition.
A vital part.
And where's the nutritionist in the hospital?
Yeah.
Which hallway?
Exactly. Where should I go?
Yeah.
The patient's like, well, send me to the nutritionist. Who? That's like, nobody gave a name yet? Nobody? That was it. Yeah. And I'm talking past chemo patients, all critically ill, all those things. I can't eat well, my stomach. Well, go to the nutritionist. Do they give you a name? So, and this echoes constantly in our patient care. I'm sure you get the same things.
Yep.
So they're just kind of left out in the dark.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. And I think that really, it breaks your heart when you're in these things because they want the care. They're looking for care. They're just...
Yeah, they're lost, right?
Yeah. And that's why I think, or you'll feel the same way, is that why institutional medicine is just failing so many people.
Yeah, it's commodity. You're a commodity. If we choose to be, you're a commodity. I'm a commodity. Patients are a commodity. We're consumption, profit, those things. That's what healthcare is. Especially when you have to consider this even outside of our environment here in healthcare. When 25% of our GDP is healthcare, and you go to other countries, it's 5%
or less,
and they have better results. And you have to question, where's that, 20% going?
Yeah.
And it's fueling a system that's only generating illness.
Yeah. And we've talked earlier, just saying, procedures. Let's do a bigger procedure, generate more money for the system. It's like, and how much unnecessary procedures being done to generate more money for the system.
The profit mark.
A mild tear. I was like, well, you meet the criteria. The criteria.
Yeah. You mean the profit. You met the profit potential.
Criteria. Yes. I just saw the pictures.
Yeah.
You're not even remotely, in my opinion, a good candidate for that procedure. Yeah. But I have to be careful because...
Right.
Yes. So in your education, when did you go, this isn't working for me, or in your training? Because, we are through a factory of education to produce workers on the assembly line. And I don't think people, that's the way I see it. Yeah. And, I think time always tells the truth. And I certainly think that's where, things are now for healthcare.
Yeah. And I'll probably say so my father's just a very hardworking guy. And I think it goes back to my parents again. Here's my mom pushing the science. My father is like, you have to do things good for yourself. You have to do things that, make you happy, constantly doing those hard work, doing those things. So at some point, literally as soon as I graduated, I knew that I needed to kind of almost break out of the system that early on.
What did that feel like? I mean, did you have a self-empowerment, or was it just kind of, I'll tell you, my experience was, I was like, this isn't going to work. Not just work for me, but work for what I hope to achieve.
Yeah.
And there was this deep-rooted sense of, I mean, really like depression.
Fear.
Because, it's like, I have to do things differently, and there's nobody, no mentor. And that's why I'm also seeking to do this, is to provide, maybe somebody out there listening who's looking at medical education and is fearful of taking risks, that, to do it, because we're in a different place.
Yeah. And I'm kind of, and like we said, probably from the beginning,
yeah,
it really is my parents. My father, we didn't have any money growing up.
Yep.
So, me not having anything was, I have all these student loans. Oh God, do I have student loans? Oh God, do I have student loans? So the same thing.
Yeah.
So economically, I never really had anything. So I just accumulated more debt and do other things. But the desire to do what I wanted to do ultimately won. I literally believe you have to do what you want to do. And I want to do this. I want to make people healthier, make them feel better. All the kind of things that have passed on to me, it's my purpose now. And honestly, it's not about any economics. I'm sure, hey, I want the staff to get paid. I think this office, I get that. But I don't have the fear about failing anymore like that.
You made a really excellent point earlier, and I think it goes back to the point on legacy, right? Yes. You had people in your lives, your primary role models, your mom and dad, who really set the course for you. They showed you that hard work and dedication and aligning yourself with those moral compasses is what's going to push you forward. And I wanted to hit on that, especially because with their inspiration, you're now where you are. And for both of you moving forward, you have a legacy to leave. How is it that you pass that torch forward so that others can pursue this with the same vigor that the two of you do it?
Yeah. Well, and I'll share the same thing. I'm coming to go back to that. That's why I'm so happy to be here and be part of this. I believe if I don't have other people in my community who believe this, I don't want to get kind of, how do I best say? I don't want to leave yet. I want it to grow. I want to build a bigger community. I want us to really grow, build this community of really people understand food is medicine and take care of yourself, well-being, that you can live better and healthier and feel better. Just feel better.
No, I'm thinking, and that's an important part. I'll share for me, just like, for me, motivation is, growing up, my mom, I'm half Turkish. My dad was from West Virginia, a very odd mix for sure.
Yeah, right.
And there are certain characteristics from both that weigh in me. One is a sense of compassion and empathy, certainly from my father. And then the drive and stubbornness from my mom on the Turkish side. The things that really galvanized me were certain critical points. And I would say the one thing that, with all of my upbringing and everything, the one thing that had the most fundamental impact on me, punk rock.
Oh, interesting.
Punk rock, yes, the music, but it was more here in DC at that time. I was really very fortunate because I was a young kid bouncing around what to do.
Like the old 930 Club, like on...
Fugazi and
on
and so on. And I'm born and raised here, and there was this time capsule of time where several summers and just the being in the music, but it was the mentality of it. It was a sense of do it yourself. Like, everything for Discord Records was, you don't need to go to a record label. You make the records yourself. And it means licking your thumb and putting on the tape and putting the albums and selling them for $5. That's what you did. And, it was that do it your sense, and just that, and punk rock, people think, oh, whatever. It is this current that charges you, and for me, it's been, I'm just not going to settle. If you make it akin to punk rock here in DC, and you go to a record label, it's the same thing. Like insurance companies are working. You sell out,
right?
And that's very much what it was. And Ian and others here in this community took risks. The heart of it was music, but it was the connection that they had all to each other and this drive to get it done.
And
that
I like
really
that
was.
about that. I think that's always great. It is. So the drive to get it done. I mean, it is. My parents are not alive. My parents died. I mean, but the drive to get what they taught me to get done stays with me. Every day.
Well, I mean, for me, it's a matter of curiosity. It's a matter of just not just taking what, is, what's being taken. Yes, exactly. So there's that uniqueness to it. And I still carry that today. I'm, it is this chord inside of me that just resonates. And so I don't think people see that when they see that I'm a physician, but there's this punk rock inside of me that's coming out, and that's how I practice.
I saw your scooter, so I saw the wheel, so
and I don't wear combat boots or anything, and but it is a spirit. So, and I think that's important for people to understand in the stories, because that shows something unique about you. That then, we're both physicians, but we could be called doctors. And what is that?
Right. I always
what
echo,
is that?
It's just a teacher. We're a teacher. I know I'm here to help teach you something I learned, right? I've got it. I paid for it. I will help teach you what I learned. And I do. And I think I always echo that. I want to help teach you. And I'm going to teach you more and more what I've learned. So I appreciate the respect of the title.
Yeah.
But my goal is I'm really still a navigator I'm a navigator to a patient who's trying to figure the best course for them. I will help them navigate their ship.
Right? and I'm the advocate. So I will do whatever, whenever, however it needs to be done to get it done.
So well said.
And that's, and that's the interesting thing is, how do you do that in the capacity to be able to empower patients, as opposed to what healthcare is, which is just makes people passive, that, oh, here's just this medication, this will fix your problem. Well, you can fix your problem first, and then if necessary, there's an option for you, but not, it's ass backwards.
Yeah. Sure. And here's the thing, but you're listening to your patient. You take time to communicate, right? That's
I take time.
Right. You take time to communicate. You're not being pushed out of the door in 5 minutes.
We're not factory workers.
Right. Oh, you had one problem. That's it. That's all you're allowed. Keep it going.
Yeah. That's what I was taught. I was taught.
One problem.
I was taught.
Let it go.
By the director of my residency program.
Yeah, here you go.
That said, you say one problem, and what's the next one, and you put that on the next appointment. And I'm like, and
20 minutes to write it up.
Yep.
20 minutes to write that one.
Right. But write it up so the insurance companies will pay for it, right? Because if you don't write it up the right way, you won't get paid. And then guess who's going to be yelling at you?
Because your code didn't match and the times. Right. People don't really understand how the time works in this. The time, the code, the time, how much time. Did you explain that? Well, you're like, oh, God. Why people want to leave the industry.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, my patient yesterday was 4 hours.
Right.
How do I code that? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't have to care.
Right. And you don't have to care, which is really such a nice thing. I am a little jealous of that. I will tell you the truth. I can't do that, but
I understand. It's sacrifice. So I mean, there's certainly, I am doing what I feel I need to do where I'm doing it, but it does come at sacrifice. The question is value. Does somebody understand? Did they understand the 4 hours that I was with them? I'm taking because I believe and invest in them that we can do this. And if we can do this, what's the value of it?
Yeah.
And that's a tricky thing, especially in the United States. I've had clients from other countries who's like, yeah, of course. And I always equate it, and it's a bad example, but I always put it in the context of other professionals and how they practice. So I work with, or I have several clients who are attorneys. And I had this one attorney about 8 years ago. He said, when I was, thinking about, invoicing and everything, and he was like, well, and it was taking me a long time to get the invoice ready and to send it. And he was like, look, you're a lawyer. You should just act like you're a lawyer and just invoice it the way a lawyer does. And, they don't have to do codes. They don't have to submit for claims, no EOBs. It's like if you appreciate, and sometimes even when I tell patients, I like, look, if you are in trouble, you want a really good lawyer, right? And that lawyer is going to do whatever it takes to get you out of that trouble. Well, I'm here for whatever it takes. And if you value that, then you'll understand. And, the problem is, particularly here in the United States, is the, valuation is, it's a problem.
Yeah, no doubt. And insurance companies have done that to us,
That's where it's
right.
Yeah.
They like, you don't need to spend much time with your doctor. They're not going to give you much. And they just devalued all of our services at some level.
Yeah, and it encourages punting. It encourages, punting. Let's be honest, the economics of it are that you can hire a PA and a nurse practitioner to basically fill in, and it fits in with what the insurance company will pay. And it's so convoluted that, it's not even worth headaching about it, because that's not the point of this. But we know what it's like, and I think it's important for people to hear and understand our experiences and why we do what we do, because of way the system is broken.
Yeah, and I think that's why people like us who have to be kind of outside the really conventional medicine, we need more of us and to come together who want to practice what they feel is best for the patient. Right?
But I can have somebody come into this room and change a light bulb, and guess what? They're unionized, right?
Yeah.
Physicians can't unionize.
No, and it's right. All those anti-Stark laws that I was told about, I was like, what? Who? Huh?
Only benefited the insurance companies.
It's like, what?
Yep.
Don't
only
take
benefited
this.
the institutionalized medicine. So,
So
I wanted to ask really quickly, it's almost as though a lot of young professionals who are entering the medical space have been programmed, right, by these institutions to kind of buy into the insurance and all of these things that sort of pigeonhole them into a methodology of practicing. And I'm very curious from both of your perspectives, like, what are some tangible steps that somebody who is now sort of exiting school and entering that, how can they maybe reprogram the brain and say, oh, wait, let me back up just a step. We can do this a different way. What do you have to?
My only thing would be to find mentors, because find the mentors that you have to have something to model in a sense, and then create it. I had a mentor for what I do as a house call physician. But, I also made the choice, and I think it was the right choice, to not just fall under his wing, but to go out and try to, do these things with great risk. But I think looking for those who can mentor you in a way, it's harder and harder, though, to find them. But there are a few. I would say it depends on, certainly if you're if you're seeking medical education, you're going to you already know, I want to be a surgeon. Okay. Yeah. Well, there's a very clear path, and there really isn't much choice.
Yeah.
And that's why I became a family physician, because the whole concept was I wanted choices, I wanted options for my life, right? And for my patients. Exactly. I didn't want it to be just so regimented. I had to work within this narrow line. That's punk rock in me. Yeah. But then, I would only say that, find opportunities. Don't just, they make you do so much, and you're so busy, you're so exhausted that you are pounded out of it. I would say everyone I've ever known who started before medical school and the person who they were after
changes.
Yeah.
And I think you're in such an economic, you have to take the job.
Yeah, they force you. It's
right.
You're forced.
Unless you really come from wealthy parents. I mean, I didn't know those kids when I was in school. So here's another thing. I didn't know those. So you have to take the job that pays the bills. So getting a new kid out of school has so much debt and stress. They have to kind of toe the line. Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to find. I mean, they need that salary.
Yeah.
They need it very
And
desperately.
I would say, if I were saying, do you want to practice healthcare? That's my first question. Do you want to practice healthcare, or do you want to practice medicine?
Yeah.
If you want to practice medicine, go to another country.
Turkey.
Because the system is broken, you're not going to fix it. I've tried. I've done local and federal and lobbied and a variety of things, and you just burn yourself out over that, and you just the powers are at play, and there's no way you're going to. My dad always had a saying: sometimes you just have to let it burn.
Yeah, and it's interesting when we say go out of the country. I have patients constantly. Well, I got out and had this procedure done for a fraction of it in the facility.
Yep, that'll be another episode. Trust me, we've got another one coming.
I was like, you got right. Everybody's like, well, what do you want from me? I'm licensed here in the United States. This is how because I went to Korea, I went to Turkey, phenomenal. I went to Canada.
Yep.
Right? Pricing, this whole thing, is beyond my brain. I don't even know what to say except, yeah, probably was great.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
great. The machine, the testing, great.
Yeah,
Great.
honestly, I wouldn't get old in this country. I would
Great.
go elsewhere because it's
Everybody says the same thing. Procedures. I mean, I just got back from Korea. Everybody was getting procedures done. Fractions.
Yeah.
Fractions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My girlfriend Cheryl had her LASIK done there for just pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the dollar.
I know, it's right. I mean,
Great
we're promoting
results.
other countries' healthcare systems. And let me share. Very well trained, all extremely knowledgeable. This isn't, in a back door.
But here's an important point: not in debt.
Yes.
That's
yes.
It starts from the medical education where, you are already roped into this, that you have no choice.
Yes.
Whereas you go to the other countries, they understand the value of training clinicians that are not going to be serving the needs of insurance companies. So,
Yeah, and that debt coming out of school, I know I don't want it. We didn't have anything, so it wasn't I had to sign my name to all those forms. The amount of debt, Ben, we didn't have anything, so I just got debt.
Yep.
So I'm okay with that. But
Yeah.
I mean, right. But I'm 50 plus.
Yep.
Right? Come on.
Yeah.
Student loans? What's going on?
on?
What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hear it's still in the news today, constantly about where to do this, pay back student loans. The debt for medical schools and things are out of control.
Well, they make
have
too
to
much
get-
profit off it.
They have to get this thing wheeled in. I don't know who's going to do it.
Nobody.
Leaders, I echo, but we've had this conversation. Our leaders aren't doing us any favors.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have enough special interests, then that's what's served, and nobody, that's just a reality of
The
it.
debt.
Yeah.
I know.
But I mean, we're not alone. There are others who seek out certain professions, and debt education is commonplace. Whereas you go to other countries, and they're like, "What are you? No."
It is, and I'll share the same thing every time I go to another country. Wait, you pay for the insurance, you pay a deductible, you pay a like what? Wait, what?
Yeah.
Explain to me again, Lou.
Yeah.
It's like, please, I'm going to get myself upset because
Yes.
let me just stop right now.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Let's just try to figure out your problem a little more.
I had a patient mom who had called yesterday, and she actually had a sick child, and I just started going through my part as a clinician, which is triage and understanding the situation, and it was very clear from the get-go that there was already this pre-programming in her mind about the way things are, and I had to say, well, hold on, we're going to go through a process. We're going to talk about this. I was on the phone with her. I think you were there. It was maybe about 30, 45 minutes. Yeah. And it turned out she was, actually a scientist who was employed for healthcare innovation.
Oh.
And so we had these discussions about healthcare, choice words.
Yes.
And she may even view this episode because I told her about it. But, I think there are people who are interested in innovating, but, when to innovate a broken system is like moving the Titanic out of the way of the iceberg. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I kind of always echo a lot of the stuff I see in the technology, the healthcare innovations or something along those lines. It's like 32,000 feet up above the ground. They're so disconnected to what's going feet on the ground.
Yeah. That is one of the biggest problems.
It's literally looking down from a jumbo jet. To a patient care. It's like it's so removed.
Yeah. If you can't get into the mind or the life of a patient, you are missing everything.
Yeah.
Even if insurance companies would actually focus on the preventative pieces, they would save so much money.
Yeah. No,
Yes, right.
That's
all in theory, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here we know. I say this every day. Benjamin Franklin, kind of, right? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? Yeah. Everybody, we all know that. It makes sense. Yep. It's super logical. It's just dismissed.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things
from high up.
It's one of the things that I like to consider analogies for, where I see no disrespect, but you're half Italian.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So, back in the day, you owned a shop.
Yep.
These guys came in,
Yeah.
started throwing things around. I said, hey, this wouldn't happen if you had insurance, right? So
New Jersey.
Italy, Jersey.
Right? No.
So,
right.
no disrespect. We have Turkish mafia too.
no,
Don't worry about it. I don't know about West Virginia, but I'm sure there's some there too.
I wouldn't want to meet them.
No. But
And that's why we love all these
sense-
movies, because you're like, oh yeah, this is like
it
my
is
backyard.
the fear that insurance companies feeds off of. It is this sense of, oh, if you don't have this, then this might happen. So you throw a few things around the store and you say, hey, this wouldn't happen if you had insurance. Well, guess what? It's always going to happen, whether you have insurance or not. That's one. And the more you do for yourself, the insurance company has no interest in doing for you. At all.
Oh, wait. And then if you call your insurance and speak to somebody like just call them and it gets that kind of customer service.
We
agent.
actually should do that once.
That should
be a great call.
Oh,
Yeah.
They'll just give you whatever they can to get you off the phone. So there's
Yeah.
two, which is, I think, always funny. There's customer service for providers and there's customer services for, the clients.
Yeah.
Totally on different pages, right?
There are these big systems that don't even track case numbers. They don't take informations. They don't communicate through email. I'm talking not just in healthcare, but I'm like AT&T, right? Like you can call 3 or 4 times, get a different person every single time, and
Different
they don't
information.
have a
It's a
clue.
design. It's a
clue
design.
what you're
It's
talking about.
designed to
way.
be that way.
So it's so like, I've spent an hour and a half on hold, 2 hours,
Well,
four representatives, different information.
The greatest thing the mafia ever did was to make you believe the
there
mafia
you go.
didn't exist, right? So
We give you a phone number at 1-800 goes, who knows where it goes.
yeah. So we should do that as a comical point of interest. We should, basically, do this with either a client or even as a physician trying to call in.
Can we do it with United Healthcare? I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to give
No
too many
names, no names. Yeah, that's fine. I'm punk rock. They can come after me. So what?
Yeah, they know. They're the.
That's funny because it is those phone numbers that go nowhere. I mean, it really is a horrible tactic. They say things. It's
I get better response off of my Samsung if I call them, or one of these little products that is not related even to health, which is actually much more important.
And something really critical for patients. I mean, this is really the sad. I mean, here we go again. The sad things.
Yeah.
I mean, accessing care, right?
It's to instill fear. It's to maintain control and disorganized, and nobody can do anything about it.
Well, there's I think some of these business development groups or companies that deal in software management and different organizational tools that are designed to help people better organize their workflows have come in. I spoke to someone recently who they had won a contract with the VA, and they were like, this is a freaking nightmare.
Yeah.
It is so disorganized, they don't even know where to start. And they're coming from a corporate sense where it's like, okay, well, our goal is to execute like an organizational structure for our clients. We're going to get it done from A to Z. And they go into a system like that and it's so discombobulated. They're just like, how did this ever work?
Just let it burn it,
Yeah.
burn it.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah. No, I mean, it starts from the patient and ends with the patient. So you don't need to go into a system. You need to go to the patient. Period.
Yeah, and like it's like the human factor gone. Just being human and really, being respectful to the well-being that their family might be suffering, not feeling well, in pain. Just trying to help. And it's just been removed.
And that's by design. Right? That is design.
Literally,
it's a dependency.
We're trying here to help these people so they can access care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sad. I mean, really breaks my heart. And I think that's why on the outside, coming from these kind of immigrant families that came here to really build and do things. I don't know, maybe, outside trying to fit in, but still just a drive to get things
there are small villages in Italy that are asking for physicians to move.
I just said, Italy, I love Korea. I think every
I'm
time
looking
I
at
go,
Turkey.
First of all, I love Turkey too. Every time I go to those hospitals, but they're all private too. It was like, the big,
Well, no, Turkey, it's just, that's one of the places, I'll be going there soon, but that's one of the places where we're going to be getting to, hopefully, Minister of Health, we can work something out and learn.
Please take me, because I love boatroom. I think going down by the coast and sailing, doing those blue
never
cruises.
come back. See, that would be wrong if we just left.
But and here's the same thing, because I keep on echoing these Mediterranean diets. I echo olives, garlic. I mean, I talk about figs every day. Things that really, here it is again, things that we consumed that people can get in small markets, high nutritional value, right? Yeah. High nutritional value. That's going to actually help you heal yourself at some level. Yeah. Where here we come back to the States, everything's processed.
Oh yeah.
Right? Super processed. No nutritional value probably all the time. And we wonder why, again, the same thing. We do really, we have a sick population among us.
There is there's a fascinating video online from a gentleman named Johnny Harris, who's actually, I've shared him with Dr. Brown, but he's a DC-based creator, YouTube guy. Yeah. He started off making maps, animated cartographer basically for Vox News. And he had a great video recently that was about bread in America. Yeah. And it's all about how when you go and you visit a place in Paris, they have their shops on every corner where you can get genuine baked that morning kind of bread. And it doesn't fatten people. It doesn't get them bloated. And you look at what we have here in America with our processed bread. The design is to make it sweet and stay on the shelves as long as possible. Right? So if those two goals can be accomplished, great. But to get there, you got to pump a lot of stuff into that to keep it fresh. And that's a problem.
Yeah, and I think this is really important kind of stuff to get out. People, good nutrition, right? Good nutrition. You have to really take the time, the farmers markets, doing those things. You have to really do it. But here's the other thing. The economics in the United States is kind of very expensive. Whole Foods gets very expensive. So we have a big part of our population who just can't get nutrients. They think eating at McDonald's, I don't want anybody to starve, right? But you're not getting nutritional value you need.
You just, you're getting the things to stimulate the dopamine.
Yeah, and then right, and then I say the same thing. Oh, like a multivitamin. How many doctors will tell something a multivitamin's garbage? They don't even open up the can of worms that maybe it might not be bioavailable. You can't absorb it. Why? There might be fillers or additives. Food got much more complex than it ever needed to be. So
and supplementation has gotten.
Oh, without a doubt, people couldn't read back of that bottle if they. Nobody wanted. Only a few of us took chemistry. Most people, chemistry, I didn't like it. Check.
Sorry.
Yeah. But that's my strong, but I'm with you. People don't know. They'll buy a multivitamin at Trader Joe's or I saw it. Somebody said I needed one.
There we go.
Yeah.
Doesn't know what's in it.
Yeah, it's a placebo almost. Yeah, unfortunately. Well, I mean, unless, that's I always keep saying that because it's kind of like the Lorax. Unless someone cares a whole awful lot, in my beard, my blue, but the sense of, I'm here, I'm not leaving, So it's for the time that I've got left, meeting people like you, meeting and learning the stories of others out there, it is therapeutic for me because a large part of this is feeling alone.
Yeah, no, I always echo, we're like lone wolves. Yep. We, and we're only strong in this kind of wolf pack. Yep. When we come together, we get better. We inspire each other to kind of go out and do our mission. But I'm with you. We can't be these lone wolves. We have to build these communities where we get better. And eventually, if our community gets big enough, we become much more powerful.
And I think, for our attributes to be able to focus, I always say everything comes for the patient in my life first.
Nice.
Everything else, unfortunately, and I'll say this, there's a reason for it. I am the idiot savant of medicine. I breathe it. I get into a zone, and pretty much everything else in my life, I am not really good at.
Well, sure. That's why we're here on Sunday mornings doing this. Right? It's a Sunday. People spend time with their family. No, I do this. It's who I am. It's in my DNA. It's,
But we need people to, for what we can do for them, but for them to accept that, we have some value. And then, for us, we need support. And that support is not financial. It is a sense of connection. It's a sense of purpose. It's a sense of, what are we building here, right? Because the reality is what's being built or what's, is destroying, us.
Yeah.
as a country, and it's not going to change because there's profit in it. I get it. Business is business.
No, I agree. I'm not going to. The wheel will keep on rolling even after I'm gone.
I would just say that I'd like to see communities, develop around, communities that want to be healthy, and if they build it,
yes,
I will come.
Yes,
for sure. I think if we build it, first of all, we don't have that time to be able. We're taking away from our time for actually caring for patients, right? I'll give an example. When I went to Cuba in 2001, it was an educational exchange between Howard University and the academic center in Cuba, and the experience was transformative, just like punk rock was for me, because what I saw was an education that was based on community. All right. So when they had students who, and they didn't have to do the system of education we do here, which is really extended and in debt. Theirs is free, 6 years, and then they get out and start working. And they're little seeds, and they plant into these communities. When a physician's planted into a community, they serve 600 families. Those 600 families take care of that physician. If it's laundry, if it's child keeping, anything, because
he's the healer.
Yeah.
It's an exchange.
Right.
And
we want to keep our healer happy.
Yeah. When's the last, so it used to be physicians owned hospitals. That's obliterated. It used to be physicians lived next to the hospital or around the hospital, or even, housed around the hospital, because that's what they did. And there were these centers of healing. Physicians live far away. They're not even in the community. There is no sense of community. There's nothing, it's just,
no, and
untethered.
And to talk about it, and same thing, you can't even refer to somebody who's may not be in your network. It's really, this community, and I will go building a holistic community, building communities is so important in healthcare, because it is, you're passing things on, and generational.
I would say one of the only communities I have, which I think is unfortunate, because I think, again, these communities for healing, they should rise for themselves, understanding the value innately within them. But, one community that I have, which I consider my family, are concierge. Just by association, it is the drive for which they take care of those who are coming to them asking for help. And it's that sense of, purpose that they have. And my concierge family has taught me a lot as a physician, because they're a community. And I support everything that they do. I take care of my friends, my family in the concierge community. I only wish that was replicated further into a community of those, who we would want to serve.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. But, yeah. Unless.
Right. No, and I think the people that you've introduced me to in that community, they're very down-to-earth folks. And it's like you can tell that they are there to serve, but they're also there to help guide you. And, I feel like that's where having that characteristic in a medical professional to guide you to a pathway of health, to feeling better, to being, having better outcomes, that's what you need.
And they're a family, there are unique ones. There are some in that family who are like, okay, well, what's going to happen now? Or there's others who are like, gimme, gimme, gimme. And then others who are like, it's just like
family structures.
All family structures.
All families.
Yes,
we say the same
exactly.
thing. All communities, all families, but same thing. But at least it's not the institution that says this is how you do it.
Yeah. And I will say, I will say that it is the uniqueness of each family member, which makes it very interesting.
I got it.
So, I like that.
I would too. I would have, because then, even because you're open for more debates and questions, and at least there's a little more back and forth. Institutions, our way or out. There's no debating it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, you didn't like it? We didn't ask you your opinion, did we, Lou?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't think that was one of the questions here. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. All right.
Well, maybe there'll be an opportunity to, this is an experience in sharing stories, experiences of, insight that others may have into you and I and others, even getting out. This is the studio, but, we can certainly get out. You can start percolating.
I've already been percolating.
Yeah.
I percolate every day.
I say this every time, but this is always such a good introduction to an individual. And at the end of these sessions, you have a tangible piece of digital material that if there was a patient story or another practitioner that you felt like could contribute to these kind of storytelling efforts, now it's a link, right? So you can share that out and it can get out to even more people. So,
and this is the other part for the education. You have this vast knowledge, and I can tell the energy of trying to get that out there. I think in the format of, we could do it in the studio, but I think actually out in the field we might be able to dig into that, and we can take pieces of that, and then the idea is over time it builds crescendos, right? And maybe there will be an opportunity where people will see that and understand what we're trying to do and come together and form a community.
No, and right from the beginning, that's why I'm so happy to be involved.
Yep.
I was so appreciative. Thank you. I can't tell you.
Absolutely. No, thank you.
To come in to try to get that out is, it makes me feel like, hey, my purpose is part of this.
Yep.
This is what I do. I mean, right?
Yep.
I mean, this is who we are.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's true.
No, like you said, Sunday morning, we're here having a conversation, and hopefully it reaches the right set of ears. Somebody out there who can listen to this and feel enlightened.
No, so so thank you, and then Carlos and everybody who've helped make this happen. I'm very appreciative to it.
And so now we're on the journey.
Yeah, no doubt.
So let's keep it rolling.
Train's moving.
Yeah.
All right.
So whatever you need me to do, I'm here to help. So
well,
you kind of
we're going out.
This is official, right?
Oddly enough, we're going out to West Virginia on Tuesday. We're going to be going to visit with Bill and
Calvin and Joanne.
And
so
Joanne,
we mentioned a farmer's market earlier, right?
Yeah.
So Calvin, former veteran, and so he has a kiosk at the Old Town Alexandria Farmers Market, which is, from what I understand, notoriously hard to get into. But out in West Virginia, he's got his own farm plot, and we're going to go out there and visit him and shoot some drone shots. And it's
I'll share the same thing. Like it's that's community, right? Farmers, right? This is part of medicine. This food is medicine. These farmers are crucial in this, and to connect with guys like that.
Yep, and that's the other part of the Cuba experience, was because it wasn't just a physician that was seated; it was a farmer, it was a teacher, it was music. So and the richness of that community. And I will say, on the last day when we had a cultural exchange, they hosted us, and there was, they were playing music, and then there was dance. And what was fascinating, the music is the bedrock for their culture. And there was an older gentleman, gray hair, probably was in his 70s. And he was just dancing. He had a little cane, and he had a little scarf, and he was twirling around, and people were coming up to him and hugging him. And I was like, oh, and I turned to the host and was like, this is great. Even the elderly are coming out from the community and celebrating this. And I was like, who's he? And he was like, that's our doctor.
Nice.
I was just like, but I want to be that guy.
But I think you said it best. I mean, these are like all spokes in a wheel, right? I mean, that makes that wheel go around. You need all these people to kind of work together. The farmer, the musician, the music, powerful healing mechanisms, all of it is so crucial into people's well-being. And you cannot just start to separate them and think there's no value to any of them. And think you're going to live healthier or live better.
That's a recipe for a flat tire.
Well, that ties into the music industry and healthcare and wow.
So that's why it is. I mean, like we said earlier, just getting all these spokes to together.
The circle of life, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Oh no, I'm excited.
I think we have so much more to explore with you, and it's awesome that you're so close too, right in Arlington. So you saw the scooter.
I'll be here because
4 minutes.
We haven't really talked about any of the herbal medicines and
Yeah.
arms.
We're just scratching the surface.
Oh yeah, like I said, scratching the surface.
Absolutely.
I'm always taking pictures at the farmer's market. She goes, "What do you do? Why are you taking pictures of all those mushrooms? But look at these. Look how beautiful
I know.
They're
they are."
gorgeous.
I took a picture last time. This woman was like, "Why are you taking that picture?" And I was like,
Look at these.
it's
I mean,
cool.
I'm looking at the carrots and what, and we're talking about how hard it is to grow, why it's important, and the health benefits of this, incredible vegetable fruits and vegetables. Right. I'm taking photos of it because you're taking too many pictures. You're getting too.
"Why don't we do this? Why don't we there's a DuPont? Which farmer's market do you go
I
to?"
go to DuPont. I also go to DuPont's right around the corner from my house, so it's easy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we should do a whole thing on food as medicine. I would love to go through there.
We just zip over. I mean,
That'd be a great show.
Yeah, it would be easy. And we
easy.
have a little microphone right there, and the two of you could just talk it out and just kind of walk through what are we
throwing
looking
food at
at
each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just whole food fight.
I start, the problem is I'll always share, I am a big eater. That's another thing I've got. I am. So once I start to find things, do I love it's always about food. It comes down to food, right?
Yeah.
Life, food.
Yep. So I think we want to say thank you for tuning in on this episode of Earnest Medicine. And we've got so much more to discuss. And the ideal situation, as we said, is to get out there and go to a farmer's market and see some of this in action and get into a little bit more of the science. So we're going to sign off here on this episode of Earnest Medicine. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you happen to find any of this interesting, or more importantly, if you want to collaborate, check out the link below so that you can send us your comments, any stories you may have, anything, we're happy to entertain it. And this is really about us going on a journey together.